Hi there, welcome to Transponda Trailer Sales. Today we walk you through your 2025 Rpod RP190. We are just going to start off the back of the unit. If you notice, you do have your spare tire just located out back here. And then in this corner, as well as all four corners of the unit, you have these stabilizer jacks. We include a 3/4 inch tool inside this back compartment to operate these. And the way that works is you just hook it up to this drive nut, run this foot down to the ground. Once that foot contacts the ground, just giving another 1/8 turn just to snug it up. And it's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. If you open up this, you do have a back storage compartment. This is where you're going to find your little starter kit we include with the unit. It's going to have a 15 amp power adapter. It says it has a hose. I already have the hose located underneath the unit. And then just a few other goodies. Speaking of the sewer hose located inside here, you just got to lift this tab, pop this guy open. Includes a sewer hose, which is about 15 feet long once fully extended. We just keep it stored away down here just to keep as much smell out of the unit as possible. Off to our left, you do have your main 30 amp power connection. You just take a note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this end. You just plug that in, 1/8 turn to lock it down, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it into place. And if you pull that cord off, you do have your standard 30 amp plug-in. Now some campsites won't have this, or if you're at home and you want to run your fridge on your driveway, that's what that 15 amp power adapter is for. But keep it in mind, when you're going down to 15 amps power, you're not going to be wanting to run that air conditioner. It really is just to run your lights in your fridge. Lock that in. You got your gray tank here. So this is the second tank you're going to want to empty. The first tank is up ahead a little bit, which I'll show you in a second. This is going to be your gray water, typically your cleanest water. That's going to be filled from your sinks and your showers. You just unlock that like so. Your sewer hose has these same ears. They just line up with these notches here and lock into place. And you're in. You got your cable satellite inlet. And then right up front, this is going to be the tank you're going to always want to drain first. It's going to be your black tank, filled from your toilet, so it's going to be the dirtiest water. A little ahead here, you got your 2 low point drains. If you're wanting to drain all the water out of the lines, keeping it from going stale or stagnant, this is where you do so. And then you got your fresh tank drain right down here at the bottom. You got your city water connection, so if you're at a site with service, you can thread a garden hose in there, turn your water on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. Or you got your fresh tank fill, in which case you just put a garden hose in here, turn it on, and it's going to fill that fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. Whenever your furnace is running, keep it in mind this is going to be blowing out hot air. And then right here, you're going to notice you got your hot water service port. Main thing you're going to want to note, this is going to be your pressure relief valve. And you got your power switch valve, or your power switch. Turning that on supplies power to the thermostat, which is inside, which I'll show you in a minute. Now I'm going to note when it comes to winterizing this, it's not going to be like your traditional water heaters. Traditionally, you're supposed to bypass them. This one, you are going to want to run the antifreeze through it, of course, with it off. And with this cracked open, you have to leave this cracked open so it allows all the antifreeze to make its way out, and then just allow it to drain out after. And that's it for that there. Another stabilizer jack in that corner. You're going to have your 27 RV located inside this box here, and you got your main battery disconnect on the front A-frame here. With the battery disconnect switch on like it is now, the batteries are connected to the unit. If you were to turn it off, the batteries would become disconnected from the unit. And then located underneath this cover, just taking that, twisting that, and that'll allow you to open that up. It gets you access to that 20-pound propane tank. We're turning it counterclockwise all the way. Opens up the flow of propane to the unit. If you were to want to get this tank filled, it is just as simple as taking this wing nut off at the front here, and this cover would slide right off and you do have a bungee cord down below as well that you'd have to disconnect. So it just slides right off after that. You got your front tongue jack, manual override right at the top here. We include a tool for that in the front compartment, which I'll show you in a minute. You got a light switch for when you're docking at night, and then one way is up, the other way is down. Around the front of the unit, lifting this guy up here. You got that tool which I told you about, which is for those stabilizer jacks. And then we also include that override for that front tongue jack in case it were to fail for whatever reason. On the wall here, do note as well, you got a couple USB plugins, USB-C and regular USB. And you also have a power switch which turns on an accent light at the front. Right below here, you're gonna notice it. And that's it in there. This right here, you slide this open. Gives you access to like a little exterior shower. There's a garden hose that connects into here, which I'm going to try and find you now. Inside this compartment here. Inside this compartment is where you're going to find that hose. You're just taking note of these two ears there on either end of this, lining them up with the slots on this side, pushing that in place, locking it in place, and you got that garden hose with hot and cold water. Now also in this back compartment is where we keep the griddle. So you're just going to take this guy out here, which is the main mount. Take these legs and fold them out. Then you can come over here, lock that into that rail, press this down like so, and then you can come in and grab a griddle. You got these on either side. They just slide into place. Presses on. You get that safety cotter pin just to hold it into place. Lock that down. And then there should be a hose in here as well. There's also a griddle piece on the top, but it just falls into place. I won't have to show you that. But you just, like an air hose, you pull it back with the collar. I like to assist the regulator as I push it into place. That way there's no extra risk of breaking it. And then you can run your hose down to your quick connect here, pop that dust cover off, press it into place. Opening up this opens up the flow of propane as an added safety measure. Whenever the flow is open, it won't allow you to use this. And then you can just come to your griddle and hitting that light. It can take a few minutes when it comes to firing any of the propane stuff because you have to purge all the air out of the lines if the propane's been off for a while. But there you go. As you see, it lights up after a couple of tries and holds its own. And then you can just turn it off, and then it would be the opposite to take it all down. To get inside the unit, you're just taking that assist handle, pushing it up, folding it 90 degrees, it'll lock into place. That'll allow you to open up this door. Just be mindful whenever you are opening up this door. It's gonna come into contact with that fender a little bit, so just don't push on it too hard. Get the stairs out, pulling towards you, it'll just fold down. Then you can take a step on inside. First thing you notice off on your right is gonna be that fire extinguisher, and then up on the wall, you got your light switch as well as the porch light switch, which turns on that porch light outside. You got your slide out switch, pushing and holding that down, allows that slide out to start making its way out. Always making sure you know what's on either side of the slide out, inside and out, before you operate it. That way you don't run the risk of bending it, breaking anything. And once it's fully extended, the motor's just cut out. And then for the awning, just pushing and holding that extend button. The awning's gonna start making its way out. Unfortunately today, due to space, we won't be able to make it all the way out, but we will be able to make it most of the way out. How you're gonna know it's fully out, you're gonna see that little flap hang down and then the back of the metal tube. So that's all we're gonna be able to go out today, just because I wanna show you how to use the adjuster. So you got this little clamp down here, you just loosen that off, and that'll allow you to lock it into place. That changes the pitch of the awning head in case it were to start raining. It allows water to then run off. If you do like the angle better, lower down, it allows for more shade, just making sure. So you can do the same thing with the front arm, just always making sure you do unlock them and lock them back into place with them like so. So that way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And then to bring it in, you are just holding that retract button, and the awning would make its way in. Once those arms contact the side of the trailer, the motors would automatically cut out, and that's when you know you're fully in. You're gonna have your stereo right beside that, which is pretty much just like home, minus the fact of having zone 1 and zone 2. Zone 1 will be your interior speakers, zone 2 will be your exterior speakers. It does have a USB plug-in. Down below you got your TV, just like home, not much I'm gonna show you there. And then just some storage space, and then you get to your fuse and breaker panel. Pulling that down, whenever a fuse pops, there'll be a little red indicator light letting you know which one's popped, and whenever a fuse trips, or breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They're just going to kind of sit where you leave them. And then one quick pull will allow them to retract back up. You do have a central vac in this unit. Tools for that are just right here. And the central vac's just on this side of the unit. You got the power switch on your far left. Turns it on. You're just having to slide that open to connect that hose into there, and then sliding it back so that you could use your, they call it a dustpan. You open that up, it'll suck everything inside. Just keep it in mind, it is mainly for dirt and gravel. You're not going to be wanting to put anything sharp or long inside there, as it does just go inside the bag inside this. And to get that open, you just pull like so, where you got a little bag. Clicking it back into place. You got your dinette area, which does also turn into a bed. You're just having to take these 2 feet from underneath it, set your tabletop on these ledges, and then you can take your back cushions to fill in the center. Travel strap, just keeping that table held down for whenever you're traveling, just an added safety measure. And this blind here, whenever you do pull it down, you're going to notice it hangs kind of weird, but that's because you got these 2 things on either side, which allow you to lock it into place so it doesn't let too much sunlight in. And then you can just, to retract it, pull it out. You got your fire exit. You're just going to pull this red tab. The window's going to pop, the screen's going to pop out of place. Then you just pull on this handle and push out and hop on out. In the main kitchen area, you got your sink with hot and cold water, storage underneath. You got your convection oven and microwave, which is just like home. Not much I'm going to show you there. You got this nice little cutting board slash sink cover if you'd like. And then you just get to your stove. Works pretty simple. Whenever you are running the stove, I do recommend having this back window open, just as this is going to allow for fumes to exit the unit. You're just turning that over to light, hitting it with a lighter, and it fires right on up. Like I said, sometimes it can take a few tries just to purge all the air out of the propane lines. You got your Everchill fridge. Opening that guy up, all the controls for that are just on the wall here. 0 obviously being off, and then it goes all the way to 7 for your coldest option. Freezer up top. It runs off the same control as the fridge. Obviously 1 being the coolest and 7 being the coldest. And then on the wall here, you got your solar controller. We currently don't have a battery in this unit, so that's why it's showing EO1, because there's no battery in it. But it's essentially just a monitor panel system. Pushing this button is going to put you through all the settings. It's just going to show you what you're charging at, what your voltage is at, what you could be at, etc. Right down below, you got your monitor panel system with all your tank levels and your battery levels. And then you got your water heater switch. So once you turn the switch on the outside, you turn this switch on and it supplies power to this. And at that point, you have your set temperature, so 51 being the hottest, and below you can go all the way down to, you know, whatever it goes down to. And then you got water pump switch, turning that on, draws from your fresh tank. Right down below, the furnace and the stove both run off propane. You got an LP detector right here on the ground. If that ever starts going off, you are just going to want to turn off the main supply propane to the unit and just ventilate it out a little bit, open up some windows. Storage all around here. And then in the bedroom area is just a bed. You have a front shade and a front window, which you can open up. And it has a bug screen on it as well, so if you were to open up that window, you would close this little bug sheet so it doesn't let any bugs in. It just clips onto the top one. Right down underneath here is another thing I'll mention is your main output for your furnace. All the air comes out of here. So if you wanted to get a fan to move around a little bit, it could be a good idea. You get your main GFI plug also right here. You got test on the bottom, reset up top. That little green light's letting you know that the connection's good. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd look. And then over here, you got your TV backer on the wall here. You also have your main cable satellite outlet. Whenever that little green light's on, it's telling you the antenna is on the antenna on the roof is also on. It also improves radio frequency. On the wall here, you're gonna get your thermostat. Pushing and holding the power button turns it on. It's gonna bring you to your last setting that you were at. So in this case, it's fan. If you're wanting to change that fan speed, you can press the button fan. It's gonna change it. You can go to dry. So that's gonna be trying to take as much humidity out of the air as possible using the air conditioner. Then you get into cool, so now that's when actual cooling effect takes into effect. Whenever you're on cool, you have a few different fan options, so you can run it on low, in which case it's blowing at low speed full time. Same thing, but on high. And then you get into automatic. So automatic, it kicks in and out as needed, and it's also going to decide the fan speed depending on the temperature of the room. Up and down at any point in time will change your set temperature. One more time will bring you into heat. That shuts off the air conditioner and turns on the furnace. Whenever the furnace turns on, it's going to try a few times. Remember, if you didn't have the propane system on, it's good to purge your stove first because it helps purge the line for the furnace. If it doesn't fire the first try, try trying it a second time just in case it was a purging issue. And then just push and hold that button to turn it off. Up top, whenever you are running the air conditioner, you can run it with the louvers closed, in which case it'll move its air through the ceiling ducting we have throughout the unit, or you can run it with these louvers open, in which case it dumps all its air into the living space. Opening up this door here gets you into the bathroom. Hot and cold water in the sink. Medicine cabinet. You also have a roof vent. You're just having to pull down on that, which unlocks it. Counterclockwise opens it up. And then you got your fan speeds right here in the corner. So pushing it once, you go into 1, and then 2, 3, and 4. So 4 is the highest settings. And then to turn it off, you're just pushing that button. Notice that we're open straight up into the atmosphere. So if we're to start raining, it's going to get wet inside here. So make sure to close that, unless you were to go with a max air cover, in which case you can run this full time, whether you're traveling or not. You can contact the parts department if you'd like to get set up with that, and they can put together a quote for you. Just always making sure you close it whenever you're traveling as well if you don't have that. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.